Is now in order. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda tonight is a public conversation. We have one person that signed up, Molly Withman. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. If not, please correct me when you come up. When you reach the podium up there, there's a microphone. You to the right, the silver button, press it, and it will come on. And then it will start to flash when your time's about up, and then it will go silent after your time is over.
Okay.
So
all right.
Go ahead and begin.
Thank you. My name is Molly Kashner-Waltman, and we are parents of 2 children here in the Clarksville-Montgomery County. And our children have always attended public school, although because of COVID, we had to make a personal family decision to put one of our children in private school. Our other child still attends CMCSS public schools, and we had always been told about and been excited about the prospects of our child being able to apply for middle college. And when we went to begin the application process this year, we were told that last year there had been a change that no longer could students attending private school apply for middle college. This was a bit of a surprise to us, as we didn't recall seeing anything recently about this change happening. We're active members of the community. We participate in many outreach programs within the public school systems, and we'd always been excited about the prospect of our children being able to at least have the attempt and the opportunity to try to apply to middle college. So I guess what we're asking the board is for some either explanation that is satisfying to tax-paying members of the community who attend and are proponents of public schools as to why our child's excluded from this opportunity to apply, and also maybe some opportunities to consider accommodations for students who, due to COVID and due to pandemic decisions, made maybe not the most ideal decision for the community, but the best decision for the family at the time.
Thank you for your comments, and you will get a response.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is approval of consent agenda. So I have a motion to approve consent agenda. I have a motion from Mr. Patterson, a second from Mrs. Berry. Discussion is now closed. Please open the vote. Cast your vote. Is everyone satisfied with their vote? Please close the vote. Passes, I think 7-0. There's not a number here. 7-0. Next item, policy monitoring. Dr. Vetter.
Board, please find in your board packet information on Executive Limitation 2, Communication with the Public. This executive limitation has 3 compliance expectations to assure the Director of Schools adequately informs the public about the condition and direction of the district. A number of feedback opportunities have continued this year with stakeholder and advisory groups. Senior leadership team members lead these communication groups and provide information requested by the group's constituency. Also, the district website offers several ways in which feedback may be provided during the continuous improvement process. In partnership with Upbeat, a robust survey was dispatched to all school-based employees with around an 80% response rate. Parents were surveyed in the fall, and another will go out this spring, as well as an all-employee survey. Students in grades 6 through 12 were also surveyed. Additionally, the district's strategic work is presented to all stakeholder groups. Finally, the financial state of the district is audited annually, and quarterly reports are provided to the board and county commission. Chairman Griffey, this concludes my update for Executive Limitation 2.
Is there a motion to approve Executive Limitations 2? I have one from Mr. Garland, a motion, a second from Mrs. Pace. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask members to cast it. Please open their vote. Is everyone satisfied with your vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. Next item, EL9, school year calendar.
Board, please find in your board packet information on Executive Limitation 9, School Year Calendar. This executive limitation has 3 compliance expectations to ensure the Director of Schools prepares a district calendar/school calendar that best meets the instructional needs of students. The school calendar for 25-26 reflect the requirements outlined. Additionally, the representative stakeholder group used the same guidelines as were reviewed and discussed by all focus groups last year to develop the 25-26 calendar. Adjustments to the 24-25 school calendars will be made and brought to the board should legislative changes arise. Chairman Griffey, this concludes my update for Executive Limitation 9.
Is there a motion to approve Executive Limitation 9? I have a motion from Ms. Berry, a second from Mr. Patterson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open the vote. Is everyone satisfied with their vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. Next item is special course application. Dr. Vetter.
Yes, I would like to invite Dr. Dowdy to discuss the special course request that we have for this year.
We have 3 special course requests that we're hoping to submit to the Tennessee Department of Education. These are existing courses that are already being offered in our CMCSS high schools, but they have to be renewed every 3 years. The 3 courses are Peer Assistant and Leadership, which is currently being offered at 7 high schools, a Military History course, which is being offered at 3 of our schools, and Advancement via Individual Determination, or otherwise known as AVID, which is being offered at 3 of our schools. And we would like to proceed with this special course request.
Is this first reading? It's not listed.
We will need a vote on this one.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this special course application? Mr. Patterson makes a motion. I have a second with Mrs. Pace. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Mr. Garland.
How are these courses selected?
It depends on the course, honestly. For example, the military history course was the brainchild of a teacher who was a retired soldier who got the idea that our students need to be educated about that course. The peer assistant and leadership course really came from seeing the need in our schools for some of our special needs students to have peers to work with them who were age-appropriate peers but could also assist in the instruction that takes place in the class. And the AVID course was really principle driven. It's a national organization that has a variety of strategies that was brought here. So all 3 of them really came to CMCSS through a variety of methods, but all just making the decision that we felt was best for students.
Now, how would a parent be able to actually bring a course into our curriculum, Dr. Luna?
So I think anytime a course is initiated such as this, so these are courses that currently aren't in the state catalog. They're just courses that, as Dr. Dowdy mentioned, came to us from a variety of ways. So if a parent would have a course that they are interested in, they could certainly submit that for our review for our curriculum and instruction team and see if there was a need that this could perhaps fill. And then it would require a special course request because it does have to be approved by the Tennessee Department of Education.
Okay, thank you. I learned something tonight.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Patterson. Mr. Nelson.
There we go. Just one question. On the military course, what's the scope of that course, basically?
We have, the teacher actually wrote standards for that were approved by the course when it was originally initiated. I'll be happy to send those to you because they're very thorough and in-depth. So I'll be happy to share those with you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry.
Any other discussion or questions? There's a motion and a second on the floor. Please open the vote. Is everyone satisfied with your vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. We're now on, next item is Collaborative Conferencing Management Team.
And I'd like to invite Melissa Isett, our Chief Human Resource Officer, to discuss the CMCSS Collaborative Conferencing Team for this year.
The PECA election occurred district-wide on January 10th and 11th. On January 12th, the Special Questions Committee met to verify votes. Over 50% of eligible professional employees voted in favor of collaborative conferencing. Per TCA 49-5-605, upon receiving the results of the poll in which the majority of those eligible to vote respond yes to the first question, the Board of Education shall appoint at least 7 but no more than 11 persons to serve as management personnel. You are provided with a list of 7 individuals, and upon your approval, the following individuals will comprise the management personnel for collaborative conferencing. Dr. Shanda Dowdy, Chief Academic Officer, Jessica Harris, Elementary Director, Amanda Nix, Elementary Director, Matt Slight, Middle School Director, Christy Houston, High School Director, Chris Renaud, Chief Financial Officer, and myself, Melissa Isett, Chief Human Resources Officer.
Is there a motion to accept this committee, these members for the committee? I have a motion from Mr. Mabry, a second from Ms. Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none. Please open your vote. All voting members satisfied with your vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. Next item is proposed calendar adjustment. Dr. Vetter.
Board members, as you know, we have had some time off of school lately. So with the tornado that occurred in December, and then again with the days out of school last week for the snow event, we have applied for a waiver from the state for the tornado days. So we did have 5 days built in our calendar. We have used 4 of those in the past week, which does bring us down to only 1 inclement weather day left. The calendar had already proposed to have February 7th as well as President's Day as backup days. However, with only 1 day left in the calendar and knowing that teachers are anxious to have students in front of them to learn, and I think parents are anxious to have their kids at school, what we are proposing is a change to the calendar for this school year to change Wednesday, February 7th, that right now is slated to be a professional development day that teachers are already working, back to an instructional day where students would report on Wednesday, February 7th, and that would allow us to have 2 days back for stockpile days in the event that we would need those days for future weather days, and we would still have President's Day if we would need that moving forward on February 19th. We would like to propose that for your consideration this evening and for a potential vote. That would allow us, should you decide to vote to approve that, to notify all parents and personnel tomorrow to give the necessary time for that adjustment.
Thank you. I need a motion for approval. Have a motion of Mr. Garland. Is there a second? Second of Mrs. Berry. Any discussion? Mr. Mabry.
So this will allow us not to have to add on the extra time at the end of the year by doing this, right?
That is our hope. Obviously, we still would have that as a backup if we would utilize every day, but this is to give and extend. I lived that as a teacher, and I know none of us prefer to have an extra 30 minutes on every day, that we would much rather have that day earlier. And given the events, that's why we're proposing this. But that is the goal, is to prevent that from happening.
My daughter is, as we're walking into this building tonight, was asking me about this, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. Please open the vote. Are all members satisfied with their vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. Next item, comments. Fort Campbell School Liaison Officer.
Lunavetter and board members. My name is Karen Watkins-Juve, and I'm the School Liaison Officer that represents Fort Campbell. The Fort Campbell Garrison Commander, Colonel Christopher Midbury, would like to invite you to our Student Transition Response Team meeting. The Garrison Student Transition Response Team meeting will be held on Thursday, February 8th. This meeting will present an opportunity for superintendents to collaborate and share what's working well within the school district, as well as challenges encountered concerning the military-connected youth. We invite the Director of Schools, along with lead counselors and educational support staff. There will be a resource fair at the conclusion of the meeting. The resource fair will provide educators with information to better assist military-connected students. It's that time again for music in our schools. Fort Campbell 101st Band will be making their rounds to some of our elementary, middle, and high schools. The schedule will be finalized soon. And lastly, we are gearing up for the month of the military child, and more information to follow.
Thank you. CMCEA representative.
Good evening, Steffi Outlaw, CMCEA. I'm really glad you put this press right here. It helps me out. All right, as you've already heard, roughly 2 weeks ago, CMCSS certified employees overwhelmingly voted for collaborative conferencing and to be represented by CMCEA. We are ready to come to the table and do the work that best supports our teachers. We are also continuing to speak up for public schools, especially with the start of the new year and the new legislative season. Or the new legislative session, I should say. We know the new year provides new opportunities for privatizers to advance their assault on public education. Investigations have shown that out-of-state privatizers are dumping millions of dollars into Tennessee's state elections to push legislation that will harm Tennessee's public schools and communities. Here are 3 examples. Number 1, a legislative working group who allowed out-of-state privatizer groups to testify but not allow Tennessee parents or educators convene to investigate the feasibility of rejecting federal education dollars. If this occurs, then critical resources, including support for our most vulnerable students, could be lost. A report from the work group is expected this month. Number 2, the state has assigned an A through F letter grade to every public school in Tennessee, as we know. A letter grade that does not accurately reflect the efforts of our students or educators and that will ultimately harm communities, local governments, and businesses. And number 3, Governor Lee has announced his intention to expand the school voucher program, which will jeopardize the foundation of our state's success, what our state's success is built upon, and that is Tennessee's public schools. More than 90% of Tennessee children attend public schools, like the ones here in Clarksville-Montgomery County. Our skilled and hardworking workforce, low unemployment, and corporations relocating to our great state are all a result of Tennessee public schools providing a high-quality education to every student. In this new year, it is more important than ever for educators, district leadership, school board members, and families to work together to ensure that we have the resources needed to make Clarksville-Montgomery County the best place in which to live, teach, and learn. It's imperative that in this new year we work together to combat the attacks on public education for the sake of our children.
Thank you. PET representative.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Linda Vetter, Kathy Cobb, State President, Professional Educators of Tennessee. Doing a little low-tech and high-tech tonight. Dr. Wallace, I always have to give her a little push there for that. But I always like to start out by giving words of inspiration. The last time I spoke was the week after the tornado happened. And the words that I gave there were a lot of things that educators already do. But I'd like to leave you tonight with treat everyone like you want to be treated. Never give up on anybody. Miracles happen. Be tough-minded but tender-hearted. Be kinder than necessary. Leave everything better than you found it. And having said that, I also want to focus on the legislative session of 2024. One of the things that they're doing this year that I do applaud is a House Bill 1709 and Senate Bill 1718. I call this the Teacher Child Care Bill, and we had mentioned this before. And this is where they are trying to give educators an opportunity to fund some of the child care for them. I'll just read the bill to you if I can see it with my glasses on. This authorizes LEAs to reimburse teachers for child care expenses paid by the teacher each month for the teacher's dependent child, to receive child care services through a child care program certified by the Department of Education or a child care agency licensed by the Department of Human Services. Requires, subject to appropriation, this state to reimburse LEAs a portion of any such monthly reimbursement amount paid by the LEA or a public charter school. And I think this is how we say we leave it better than we found it. But also, to tack on to that, the Teacher Child Care Bill also helps keep our quality educators, because I've talked to several teachers, educators who would like to be more involved in the education system, but they cannot because they're at home with their children. And of course, family is their first priority, but they would like to get back into the teaching world. So this may be an opportunity for them. And also to address the voucher bill that's beginning to circulate. If you go back to Arizona, what started out costing them millions of dollars has now turned into billions of dollars. So we need to tread very carefully. We are not in support of the voucher bill that's coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments by county commissioners? Well, we appreciate you being here. Comments by board members? Mr. Patterson. No, you're recognized, Mr. Patterson, or your mic is hot.
Both of them. Thank you. I've got 3 items that I'd like to discuss. First of all, I need to get that address of where the money is coming in from out of state for elections, because I haven't received any yet. and I need to, could receive some. The second item is I want to assure this board and CMCSS, I have talked to the weather fairy, and there will not be any more snow during this until after May, following year. And Dr. Lynn, I don't want to step on some of your notes that might be here. We have our new Kirkwood Elementary principal here, and I didn't know if you were going to introduce her or not, but I wanted to. Dr. Camp is our new elementary principal at Kirkwood. So I think what you started 1st of January, way before then, I believe, but we're certainly glad to have you in our new facility.
Thank you. Mr. Mabry.
So at the last meeting, we were in the middle of the tornado, so now we're on the other side of it. I just wanted to say one more time how proud I am of our district leadership for their efforts during the tornado relief. I was, of course, on the other side, but there, just seeing all the organization through Norman and his team with the buses coming through to help transport all the volunteers. I know some of our county commissioners that are present tonight were there as well and saw that. It was a tremendous effort, great attitude. They were just so wonderful being there. And then I was able to one day sneak away and come over to Northeast, and everyone here, I saw your faces. And, you know, we had Santa giving out gifts to kids, and it was just so wonderful. But it was amazing how our community came together, and you guys are a huge part of that coming together. So I just appreciate you guys. I wanted to say that out here today. Also want to welcome our new county commissioners for being here today. It's good to see you all.
Mr. Garland.
Again, I would like to welcome our county commissioners also. Mr. Harper, this is his second trip on this rodeo. But we, as I was talking to him, you know, there's a lot of communities don't have the relationship that we have with our county commissioners here in Clarksville-Montgomery County. And it's a blessing to have a staff and a leader that can actually reach across and talk to the leaders over in our county commission side and bring this community together. Because together we stand, divided we fall. You know, I also, I encourage everyone to keep the eye and your ears listening as to what's going on in the world today. The world is in a terrible state. I say that to say this. There's a lot of things that's going on that's questionable. There's a lot of things that's going on that you need to understand. And you're not going to understand it if you go in with your ears closed. You got to go with your ears closed and the eyes wide open. And I'd say that because there are some things that's in the news today that's very disturbing when it comes to education. And I believe that the education of our children, all 37,000 of them, is important to the citizens of Clarksville-Montgomery County, and as well as all of the 95 counties across the state of Tennessee. Education is the key. If you got a good education, you got a chance to succeed in life. And if you succeed in life, you can make Tennessee even better than what it is. And I say to the educators, do what you do. Don't let no one to dissuade you. Don't let no one to deter you. Don't let no one to confuse you, because you're doing an excellent job. Thank you.
See no other comments by board members. Dr. Vetter, comments by director.
Good evening, board members. First, welcome to our county commissioners who are new to the Education Committee. We look forward to your partnership. It's so good to be back in session this week after a bit of a reprieve for the snow event last week. I want to give a huge shout out to the Montgomery County Highway Department, the Clarksville City Street Department, as well as our CMCSS operations, maintenance and custodial crews who worked tirelessly to ensure that we were one of the very first districts in the impacted area to return to instruction today. We don't take that hard work lightly, as some of our neighbors are still out of session tomorrow. Thank you to our transportation team for driving across the county each day to determine the feasibility and highlight areas that still needed work. It does not go unnoticed that considerable time was spent in the sub-freezing weather to clear the streets, the parking lots, and the sidewalks. Our faculty and staff were excited to return to school today. We even noted today's attendance was the highest attendance rate that it has been in the past 3 months. So we're pretty sure that parents were just as excited to send those students back. I also want to acknowledge our school board for School Board Appreciation Week. I am so thankful and appreciative to have 7 school board members who are so engaged and always looking to make the best decisions for our students. I have been told that some of those students have been making things for you for School Board Appreciation Week, but the snow deterred them. So you may have to wait until the next meeting for some of your gifts. But thank you for what you do every day. Mr. Griffey, this concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. And that concludes our agenda. This meeting is adjourned.